Good evening, guys. How is everybody doing? How's everyone's week? Good to see you all here. Good evening, everyone. How are we all? Welcome, welcome. How are we, guys? Connor, James, Mohammed, Mark, Matteo. Some familiar faces and some new faces as well. How's everybody's week been? So welcome to episode 7 of the Falcon FX show. So I'm going to be going over, it's like a tiny mini lesson that I think is very, very valuable and important. And we're going to bring it back to basics, as sometimes we tend to forget that. So I'm keen to get into that. And really just, this show is just about catching up with you this time, seeing how you all are, and more so what is the main focus for February, because February is going to be it's going to be a big month for us as well. Nice. Evening. Good evening. I'm good. I'm really, really good. It's been a very full-on week, a very exciting week, that's for sure. How's it going, Peter? Is it cold inside? No, it's actually it's good. It's actually good. I'm getting used to it now. I'm still in the process of building my office as well. So Falcon HQ will be in place very soon, which I'm looking forward to documenting that for sure. I'll do a kind of a time lapse or a process of building it, so it's an all-purpose kind of headquarters, trading floor, whatever you want to call it. It's going to be unreal. Where are you guys tuning in from? Africa, welcome. From Nigeria, that's awesome. How have you guys been finding the content on the channel? I'm good. Thanks for asking. How are you guys? Just started reading Eat That Frog. I got the workbook with it. Nice, James. You're going to love that. For any of you that struggle with procrastination, especially if you're traders and you're trying to get some work done, whether that be back testing, definitely go and read that. Eat That Frog and War of Art as well. You'll love those. How has everybody's month been as well? We'll give it a minute till everybody gets in the room. Welcome to the new trading center. It's unreal, isn't it, Roseanne? I'm glad that you like it. Who took Euro Yen? I took Euro Yen, actually. I took a loss on Euro Yen. Really, like, super. We'll go over that. It's such a solid setup. Nice. Well, this is the thing. This is the message that I want to push out to all of you traders, right? Never just measure your whole year based off of 1 month. You know, you can take literally the best setups on the planet and it just won't play out. Every strategy has drawdown. Every cycle has drawdown. It is what it is. You could take the best trades in the world and nothing changes. So you have to be able to go through that. But I think 30 days for us when we're trading, sometimes it feels like it's a lot, but it's really not. It's a blip. It's absolutely nothing. So to judge yourself based off of that, and this is kind of the thing I want to talk about of the market, just to showcase to you guys as to why this is so important to be zoomed out and not too zoomed in. Because it's easy to take that stuff personally. Good to see you all here. Welcome. Right, guys. So welcome to episode 7 of the Falcon FX monthly show. We're doing it live this time, so a little bit different. So I wanted to jump into a few bits here. So first up with the lesson, and I think this is super, super important. And let me know in the chat. I'm going to open up to a bit of a Q&A after as well. So feel free to chuck some questions in throughout the way. And what I will, let me just get rid of that, guys. So there's no notifications. Perfect. So you guys see my screen. You can see pound dollar. Let me know if you can see that. Just drop a Y in the chat if you can. Let's go to the weekly chart. Right, guys. So weekly chart. So as you guys can see here on pound dollar, I really want to take you back through why we're looking at price action and why this is so important. So if you think about it from a structural perspective, you want to feel confident all the way through. And then when you have market cycles where, let's say, trades don't really go your way and you just have a period of like maybe 2 or 3 losses or whatever it is, sometimes it can knock your confidence. Going back to basics and understanding why you do what you do is important. So at Falcon, we look at price action, price patterns is so important. And I'll explain to you very briefly and very simply why. The market has not changed. It's nothing new. So we're here on the weekly chart, and I just want to demonstrate something to you. As simple as, we'll just go with this actually. So as simple as you see these structures, and we won't get into all the nitty-gritty details of it because we don't need to right now, but just at its core of what we're looking at. And I'm going to give you some trades to look out for February as well, some key pairs that we'll get into. But the reason as to why we look at price action, because you've been asking for so long, is look at this. This is a simple ascending channel. For those of you, you'll research things like chart patterns and you'll see continuation patterns and you'll see reversal. So we're either looking for reversal structures like this, looking for ascending formations, descending formations, and expecting either sell-offs or buys in the reverse. Or we're looking for continuation within that. So we're either looking for moves up, continuation, and then we want to continue with that movement either to the upside or to the downside. So in its simplest form, we're either looking for reversals and continuations. It's that simple. And then within that price action, we're looking for particular patterns that we trade frequently. That's it. There are so many patterns. And let me know if you guys, whether you're in Falcon or not, whether you've come from a pattern background or you trade in different patterns, there are so many. You don't need 50 different patterns to trade the market. You can actually keep it quite simple. So if you look at pound dollar here from the weekly, if we just look at it in the simplest form, what do we have? We have a huge ascending channel and then 2008 crash. This was actually when I started learning, guys. This is when I started learning how to trade. So imagine learning in this, look at all this price action that has happened after that. This is my whole trading career, which is pretty crazy to look at that. So we have an ascending formation, we have a corrective structure, and when you zoom in, all the clues. So price action, what I want you to think about for those of you learning on the channel is that price action leaves clues for you. So as you see, we've got this big ascending channel on a larger degree. What do we have there? We have a smaller ascending channel on the smaller degree. So it's got that pattern within that pattern there. And we go into detail in that, of course, in Falcon. We then move to the downside. We have what I was calling a continuation pattern. So remember at the beginning, I said, right, price is either moving in reversal or continuation. So this being a continuation pattern, we're looking for that there. And then what happens? The price continues. So it's important to understand at its simple mechanics of a strategy as to why we're looking at price action. Then we go into a bit more psychology. So one of the biggest tips that I figured out by myself, it took me a while to do this after a lot of trial and error, is realizing that most big moves happen when they either get people caught on the wrong side to the upside or to the downside. So what does that mean? Well, essentially what happens is that you'll often see something tag the low, right? Tag the low ever so slightly or dramatically, especially when it's a big tag, when it's really pushed to the downside, when you think, right, let's say support is broken, that is when it's really getting traders caught on the wrong side. If you understand what you're doing, and then you see rapid price action after that. So I just want you to take a look from a structural perspective of what we just looked at there. What happened after that? We're looking at 2008 all the way till, I would say more so, let's look at the end of the correction, right? So 2008 to here, right? Look at that period over a 5-year cycle. Then let's go to the daily chart to look at that in a bit more detail. So isn't this, right? Let's actually go back to the weekly, it'll be easier to explain. So isn't this in its simplest form, this bit of price action here, what pattern is that? Right, for those of you that don't know, what pattern is that? We just looked at that on the smaller degree, and we're looking at move down, corrective structure, as a continuation. Super basic stuff, right? So we'll look exactly that, so the move and the drop. So can you see, even on the smaller degree, and I'm just going to grab a bit of price action, just there, on the smaller degree, that's just that. So you can see there, right? Continuation. That is just a smaller version of it, and this is just a larger version of that. So if you think about price structure, what we're looking at and why this is the questions, and the reason why I'm answering this question is because we just get flooded with How comes you look at patterns? How comes you don't trade support or resistance? Or how comes you don't have this? Or why does support and resistance doesn't work? It's not that support and resistance doesn't work. It's got nothing to do with that. It's just that on its own will trap you a lot. So what we utilize is these price structures and these patterns to assist us, because in one essence, we're still looking for, double bottoms, double tops, triple bottoms. It's not that resistance isn't there in the market. Of course it is. What we look at is that we just appreciate and understand that something that happened, let's say over here, may not be relevant to something that happened over there. So what I mean by that, let's say you put a typical support in, what we believe is that just because it rejected here doesn't mean that this is relevant to here or this is relevant to there, right? We're looking at the most recent bit of price structure. That's what's most important to us. So it's not that there is no support or there's no resistance. The market is always resisting against something. It's just how we fashion it is that we're looking at these price structures to navigate our way through. So in its simple mechanics, we're looking for price structure, price patterns, and then we're using that to navigate. So for those asking, that's why we do it. And we're looking at consistent structures. And if you go down to the daily, from what I just showed you, very, very simple pattern, it gets a lot more in depth than that. Look at the psychology of what happens when price breaks to the upside, right? So for us in Falcon, we're not even zoomed in and we can see what's going on in here, which is super fascinating once you get used to price patterns and structure and you really back test and you go into it. It looks simple what we do, but there's a lot of work that goes into it to get to that stage. So as you can see, price structure typically forms what? You see the same type of pattern? What was we looking at previously? That is a tiny degree of this. Would you all agree with that? Right? That is a tiny degree of this huge structure there. So that's how we utilize that. That's how we can understand when something's coming to an end for price structure here. So when we see these big moves and these shifts in the market, we're not looking at that and being shocked by it, because we understand how price moves. And you continue that further. That was just one big corrective cycle. What happened? This is a very messy correction, but you can kind of make sense of it. Right, we had another flag. Then what happens? We push down. We have another flag. We push down. We have another flag. And then eventually it comes to an end. So you take that same price structure. And by the way, for those asking about this tool, who's used this, by the way? In Falcon, you'll know this one. So bars pattern. If you haven't, definitely go and check that out. And welcome to everybody just joining us, by the way. So definitely go and check this out. Bars pattern. It's going to help you learn price structure. You may trade differently. This is going to be your best friend. So if I just grab that, because you can literally click anywhere, you move across. So you see this type of structure, right? We can place that there. Is that the same structure? Is this the same structure? So can you see how these patterns and these structures, they're repeating themselves over and over again? So structurally, what we can correlate is that these structures repeat themselves. Now, the one thing that we have to agree on, which I'm sure you'll do as well, is that for those of you that are red trading in the zone, we understand that price action is unique. So what does it mean by that? That not one bit of price action is the same, or price is always unique. What it means is that we can look at something like this move here, look at this pattern, and agree that that shape of a move down, a big corrective structure, and a continuation, that is a continuation pattern. But will this bit of price action that looks the same as this be exactly the same? Definitely not, right? So we know and we can correlate that structurally, that is how the market has been moving from years and years. Back test it, cross-reference it, do what you need to do. It's been there for years. It's not changed. The only difference is understanding what is relevant to what in that unit of time, rather than looking at something that happened over here that's not really relevant. We're looking at the most recent bit of price structure. So I hope that gives you just a tiny bit of a mini lesson and education as to why we look at that. And I mean, we can go even further. I remember this trade was unreal, right? This trade was unreal. So we was managing this and watching this price action correct. And it was unsustainable for price to move within this fashion without a sell-off. And this is another key here. So what happens with price structure? Let's remove this, right, just for now. If we look at that low, we was looking at this bit of price structure, 90% probability we would get to the low before the reverse. And it's interesting how FOMO kind of creeps into the market, is that you'll see the low, price will get to close to it, it'll move off. And let me know if you guys and girls have had a lot of FOMO in the markets before. This is one of the biggest things that people struggle with. So if you're finding, right, you're looking at an area of, let's say, a support, you want to buy something or you want to sell something, you'll find that price just moves away and then it plays with your emotions. Normally, when you see the big moves in the market, they will either tag the low or completely obliterate that low before it catches people on the wrong side, and then it shifts. So as a bit of homework for you guys that are not in Falcon, you might be pattern traders, you might be price action, you might be a bit of both, whatever it is, really get into the details of your price structure. Most people use, I just need to work on my psychology as a bit of an excuse. But the reality is, if let's say, what would you say the ratio is, by the way? I'd be curious to know. We always talk about 90-10, 80-20. What percentage would you say is psychology versus technicals? I'd be curious to know. What ratio do you guys think it would be? Would you guys think it's 80-20, 70-30, 90? Some people would say 99% and 1. Let me know. And let me know if the audio is good, by the way, guys. Interesting, 60-40. 70-30, 80-20. Nice, so a few different ratios, right? Right. So no one has the exact number, right? We don't know the exact number. But the most important thing is to understand that the most important part of trading is your psychology, because most people can learn technical analysis. You can teach technical analysis to pretty much anyone over a period of time. Now, of course, some people will get it really quickly. It would just be snappy. Have you ever met those people and they just get into trading and you give it 3 months in and you think they're a seasoned professional? It's almost like they know everything. Some people pick things up faster than others, and that's fine. However, so you can learn that. The biggest part will always be your technicals and your psychology combined. But just because that psychology plays such a big part, it doesn't mean that you shouldn't have a high understanding of the technicals. So, right, so then you ask yourself, let's say it was 90-10. How much of the technicals do you know? If 10% of what you do is technical analysis, but you only know 10% of the 10%, then you're not equipped, let alone working on your psychology at this stage. So I really want you to think about how well do you know your technical analysis? How confident are you? Because that is going to serve, especially as you scale up, which we're going to be talking more about that in Falcon this year. As we're scaling up as a collective, as a community, it's very important to have that on point. So just a tiny lesson, give you guys something to think about. But that is it for the mini lesson, and we're going to see this throughout as well. I mean, we only have to just scan through a few things here, like pound Swiss. If you look at price structure, what happens? Usually you see price comes all the way down, tests something before you see a big shift, comes back down, really traps traders on the wrong side of the market before it shifts as well. We saw it more recently as well with this move here. Again, when we was looking for pound Swiss to sell off in these areas, see it proves to the downside, completely gets people caught on the wrong side before it then goes. I mean, this is just clear wherever you want to see it. You know, euro pound is one that we're looking at the moment, by the way. And I'll be curious to know in the chat, what currency pairs are you guys looking at? What do you think that is going to be the most favorable pairs that you focus on for February? I'd be curious to know what you guys are watching. So a few things that we wanted to share with you. Of course, things will change throughout the month, but I think a big one to keep an eye out is definitely euro pound. It hasn't shifted yet, and it's in such a valuable area. Let me know what you guys think. What about dollar yen? You took a buy. How did that get on for you? Euro yen. Yeah, what do you guys think about euro yen? So we was looking for a sell-off on euro yen. Moved a little bit higher, but there's an interesting structure there as well. Next week, the NAS will be buying. Nice. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, nice. Yeah, Kiwi CAD is going to be solid, Luke. Pound pairs and euro yen, 100%. What's going on, Dylan? Welcome. Nice, nice. Right. So euro pound, this move, So we are looking for this move, guys, and I think this is really important. And remember, direction is one thing, right? Direction is one thing. So let's say, for example, we're looking at this move here. We come back in a month's time and price action is here. Does that actually mean anything to you? Well, to a degree. However, the most important thing is not just picking direction. You need a strategy to be able to trade it. You need to know what you're doing. And just because you predict something and it moves in that direction, you need to know how to capitalize on it. And you're not always going to capitalize on the whole move. So for any of you new traders kind of watching this in the live, coming to the channel, listen, your goal is not to squeeze the most straight away. Your goal is to actually start to become the asset and build on these building blocks. And again, another great example of something that breaks the high, breaks the lows. One key tip on Euro Pound is that we don't focus on it that much in Falcon. You won't see it on watch every single week. However, when it's good, it's really good. And you can take price action back for a long period of time. That the majority of the time when it shifts, it breaks something. So, right, we're breaking the high. We then sell off. We saw it many times here. It didn't quite break the low, as you can see. It didn't quite break the low, moved off, and then finally broke the low. And you can see just a very simple double bottom there before it shifted. And then again, on the flip side, looking for the sells, right, breaks the high, then it sells off. So this is happening consistently in the market. You see the same type of price structure. And I mean, even again, use this tool, right? Bars pattern. What is similar to this? Can you see that bit of price action? What have we got here? Pretty much identical, right? Pretty much identical bit of price structure that we can see here on the weekly chart. So you get the double bottom before it then shifts and it breaks the low. What happens? It breaks the low, and what do you get? Double bottom, and then it shifts. So what I'm talking about is that where are the most profitable moves? They're at the top and the bottom of structure. We know this. So if we're looking at Euro Pound, so heads up for February, we're looking right now is that this is at the bottom of some kind of structure in this range. So if we can capitalize on that move, then that's what we're going to anticipate for the short term, for the medium, and for the long term. So that's why we're looking at that. So keep your eyes peeled for Euro Sterling, and we're looking for that move. Now, of course, this pair by nature can be very, very wicky. So for those of you that don't know what we look at Falcon, we look at characteristics of price action. As you know, when you look at a price pattern or a chart, if you look at Euro Yen and then you look at Kiwi Swiss, you look at some of the Swiss pairs, price action is not as clean, right? If you compare them, Euro Pound is one of those ones that it's not always the cleanest. However, we're looking at this move here. So keep your eyes peeled, Euro Pounds. We'll be looking at that for some buys. Another one to keep your eyes peeled for is Euro Yen, and I'll be really curious to hear what you guys' thoughts are on Euro Yen weekly chart. So we're still looking for Euro Yen for this move here. So keep your eyes peeled for the sell. Not ready just yet, but we are looking for this move here, right? That to me is not written off yet. It's still not written off, right? Because a few things would have to change for that to happen. And then when we look at the daily chart, again, it's just coming back up to test these areas before we then look for that trade to the downside. The clearest inflection point that we want to be looking at for target is here. So there's still a pretty solid move there on Euro Yen. So keep your eyes peeled for that one, guys. And remember, just because we get to these areas doesn't mean something's not going to happen. Something can completely break out, but it's about what happens next that is important. So if we see something like this, let's say we're looking for a sell, we see it break out, this can just break straight back into the pattern, then we get confirmation, and then we go. And if we don't get that, we move on. This game is not about being right. I feel like there's too much ego in this game, too much ego in the market, but if your need to want to be right is stronger, you'll always lose longer term. You don't have to be right all the time. That's not what this is about. This is about identifying structure, patterns, consistency, setups, refine it, have your trading plan, and then you just trade it. And over a period of time, sometimes you have losses, then you have break-evens, then you have your wins. It's just an odds game. You could take the best looking setup in the world. It doesn't play out, but it doesn't mean that setup's not good. So one of the ones that I took very recently was in here. So I took a sell in here. Right, and arguably I could have got away with a break even, but it was pretty tight. But I took a 1% loss on this, right? Tagged me in, tagged me out, took the loss, that's fine, and moves on. Does that mean that I wouldn't then take that setup in here again? Not at all. So remember odds. For those joining the channel for the first time, your goal should never be to be perfect. It's an odds system. find a system that works, and then it plays out over time. So we're looking for euro yen for the sell. What else have we got? So pound yen, that's another one of those. Curious to see what you guys think about pound yen. So I'm looking at this for a sell. Nothing's really changed for me apart from this bit of price action here. It's what happens next. Can we move up to this high before we sell off? I do believe so. But again, it's just showing the same signs. What happened last time? We broke the high, right? Sold off. Now we're breaking the high again in an even better manner that we look for the sell. So to keep things really simple and just remove as much of that off, you can see the same psychology that was applied here is the same psychology that is applied here. So we're looking for confirmation for that move there. So we could get a really nice wave on pound yen, which I'm looking forward to. Yeah, we'll see how that plays out. I think this could be a beast of a move, guys. So we've got this move here, either at the top or we sell off from here. But again, we have the Monday. So for, of course, Falcon guys, we have the Monday live webinar, which we'll be getting into all of the details. And we've got some decent announcements that I know a lot of you have been waiting for as well. So looking forward to that. So that is pound yen. So yeah, guys, yen pairs for February. Keep an eye out. I think we're going to get some sell-offs. So euro yen, pound yen. We'll probably have a few other yens as well, but these are definitely the two favorites. Euro, pound, long. So we're looking for longs on these. And then pound, dollar. We're looking for sells on pound, dollar. So we're waiting for this particular move to play out. In its simplest form, we're looking for this move. Once this rolls over, this will be the area. Once this rolls over, you can already see that we've broken here in a very key manner as to what was we going over on pound dollar earlier when I was teaching you that lesson. What channel is that? Same thing. So it's unsustainable for price to move within this fashion without a sell-off. And if we commit, we'll be looking here. So nice simple one, pound Swiss. Again, pound Swiss looks beautiful for another sell. We'll be looking for this move here. Now, one quick thing to give you an indication as well, guys. So when you're looking at euro pound, if euro sterling, euro pound, whatever you want to call it, is moving to the upside, you're probably going to see pound Swiss move to the downside. So a tiny bit of correlation there. I mean, it's similar to the DXY and euro dollar. So just bear that in mind. And last but not least, more of a pattern play that I wanted to give you guys an insight as to what we'll be looking for is Kiwi CAD. Now, of course, I'm not going to be there with you every single week to be able to trade that. However, if this gives you a sense of direction, right? So because some of you, I'm aware, you jump into the charts, you've not got any education, and you're just jumping in, buying and selling. You have got no clue of the sense of direction whatsoever. So what we're looking for is, again, I just showed you that on pound dollar on a smaller degree. What did we look at the beginning of this show, right? We looked at a channel like so. And what is this? This is just that on a larger degree, and we're looking at this. So when we get into the little details, we've identified our value area, then we look to sell. Then we identify our value area, then we look to buy. It's really that simple, right? So in its simplest form, we're looking for continuation and reversal, right? That has been tested throughout from day one. It's always remained consistent. Has the market evolved throughout the years? Of course, because it always will do, which is what keeps the Falcon strategy flexible. That's the most important thing, that you're not so rigid when something does change and you're not equipped for it. I do believe that we're going for a bit of a cycle right now of just corrective behavior across the market, across the board. But once we see commitment and we start to see some full trending environments, things are just going to get capitalized on. So I'm very much looking forward to it. As you can imagine, I've traded through very many years, so this is nothing new to me, which is why, guys, you do not want to be judging yourself in such a short time frame. It's ludicrous. You do yourself a disservice when there's just so much out there. So that is the main focus for the show this month. I hope you enjoyed this live as well. So let me know if you do like these shows live. We wanted to have some more live interaction. And now it's really about just a simple Q&A. So quite a few questions that got sent in last time, so I'll cover a couple of them. But if anybody has any burning questions, please let me know. Let me know in the chat. I'll be curious to know. What else have we got? Took a loss in that trade. Good evening, good evening. 90% rule. Yeah, 90% rule is one of the biggest things. How long have you been trading? When in your career did you say, I understand the market and feel confident in every trade that you make? So I started trading, learning how to trade in 2008. So very, very long time, Sean. When was the time? There was many times when I felt confident, and then 4 months later I felt unconfident again. So this goes in cycles. You can feel like you're on top of the world. You're like, right, I've cracked it. I know my stuff. I'm confident. You're trading well. Then the market punches you in the mouth. And then you feel like you just go back to the drawing board again. So that's happened to me many and many a times. But real confidence came after about 4 years. Mark, will funding form be available in Slack? Yes, it will. So it's going to get posted back in there Monday night for the Falcon community. I'm going to release all of that. So I've opened it up to 30 people. So 30 people is going to be the first batch of funding, which I'm very much looking forward to. So I'll be talking about that in the Monday live webinar as well. So I can't wait for that, guys. It's going to be awesome. And the form will be out there as well. So for those that are ready, I think we have 150 to 200 people ready to be funded, which is epic, by the way. And my goal is plus 250 to have successfully funded. So we're on our way. So it's going to be pretty exciting times for sure. Mark, what's your thoughts on starting on loan capital? Again, I can't legally advise in that respect, but sometimes you've got to do what you've got to do. However, if you asked me that 2 years ago, I would think, yeah, do you know what? It's probably a good idea. But now there is so much third party of it. Forget Falcon Fund, right? Falcon Fund is for Falcon students. However, it's not the only place in the world that you can get funded. You can get investors. There's third party things now. Whether they're good or not, I won't go down that road. However, you have options, right? You have options to be able to get capital. So going down the loan agreement is almost more tricky when you could just go third party funded. That's my 2 cents on that. So I hope that helps. Can we trade options using market structure? You can trade it in stocks, crypto, indice. That's another question. It was actually one of the side questions actually. So can you trade Falcon with stocks? Can you trade it with indices, crypto? Yes, you can. Right, same structure. The market structure has never changed. Best time frame for entry. So I wouldn't say there's a best time frame, but there's just one that's relevant to your strategy. So we do top-down analysis, as you can see. Of course, I've not gone into the entry point of what we're looking at here because again, you're just not going to learn that in one live webinar. However, we work our way down to the 1 hour and the 15 minute for entries. Does the Falcon strategy have a bit of Elliott wave principle? Good question. So in one sense, yes, but we're actually not following wave by wave. We're not actually looking at AB. I understand wave analysis, but we're not actually looking or counting the waves. There's a lot of things that are quite flawed and overcomplicated in my opinion. But if you want to go down to the bare bones of impulse and correction, that's wave theory, right? You can't hide from that. And I'm proud of that. I think that's incredible. It's one of the best things I learned about wave theory. But are we counting waves? No, we're not. We're actually keeping it much simple, making something complex actually really super simple. Mark, can you combine Falcon and another strategy to be more efficient? My honest question to this is that, of course, there's always ways to do something. However, adding doesn't always mean more efficient. So just think about that. Adding more doesn't mean more. Sometimes it means less. Sometimes it conflicts. Sometimes it actually means more confusion. You don't use resistance and support, not in the conventional sense, right? We don't. It's not that there is no support or resistance, because of course there is, and there's always ways to work. There's people that I know that do trade support and resistance, and they do very, very well. So lots of strategies work. However, you have to find what resonates with you. You have to find what works. But you also have to understand that if you're trading if you just go and slap on support and resistance and think you're going to be a successful trader, then you're going to have a very difficult time, because you'll be caught on the wrong side a lot. So you can't just say I trade support and resistance. There's much more layers to it. What would you say contributes to your biggest edge? The biggest edge, I would say, is the ability to really have respect for probabilities. So learn to think probabilistically. And it brings me on to the chapter of the book that I want you guys to look into, which is going to be relevant to all of you because I know that it's available for free online, that you can catch it as well. So trading in the zone, which leans to the edge. I want you to really dissect that. So for those of you that have the tangible copy, you have the copy, great, perfect. A great reminder right now, and especially in the environment that we're in, and especially if you're Falcon students as well, is really understanding and having the highest degree of respect for probabilities. So go and search it online. I know that you can find it on the PDF, even if you don't have the tangible copy. Chapter 7. I want you to study Chapter 7 like it's your, like it's your manuscript, like it's everything. Because what happens is that if you're overly confident when trades are going your way, or you go for a bit of a winning streak, and then you go through a bit of a losing streak, and then you start to doubt yourself, you're attaching too much onto the outcome of a trade, not realizing that if you have a true respect for probabilities, you should be able to look at your entry and go, right, let's say, for example, euro yen, took euro yen as a position. You should be able to look at your entry and go, right, was this entry a decent entry? Yes. Would I take that over and over again? Yes. So am I going to look into it too much to try to figure out if I've done something wrong? No. Right? You're trying to make something of something that it's not. It's a solid setup probabilistically. If you take that 10 times, right, then 8 times out of 10, that trade's going to play out. It's just the 2 times or the 1 time that it doesn't, it messes with people's psychology. So I want you to go back and get very granular with that chapter and then figure out the takeaways. How can you actually apply that probabilistic mindset so you're not attaching your self-worth to an outcome of a trade when the reality is it means nothing? It's just 1 or 2 sample size. Appreciate all the support as well, guys. It means a lot. It's good to see you all here jumping into the live as well. It's awesome. And let us know in the chat if there's any particular content that you would like to see. What would you like to see on the channel this year? So do you think a person by themselves can do their own research? Yeah, this is the thing. Anyone can learn to trade. And I mean, you can learn to trade. This obsession of wanting to learn to trade online for free it just baffles me. And the reason as to why, because it is Chapter 7, by the way. Yeah, Chapter 7, correct. So even myself, right? 18 years old, I invested pretty much all the money that I had into learning how to trade. Pretty much all the money I had into learning how to trade. Think about it. What success stories do you know? It's almost like a universal law. If you go through life and your goal is to try to, but you can get that for free online. You can get that for free online. I've never met any successful person that has said to me, I got that for free online. I've never met them. I mean, show me someone that has said to you, I got that for free online, and they're filthy rich. They're successful. It's not going to happen because successful people understand that you have to pay the price. Now, it doesn't mean that you have to sign up for a course. I'm talking about life in general. You have to invest your time and energy into learning. You have to invest money as well into learning your craft, whether that be trading, whether that be property, whether that be something else. The amount of money that I've invested in property to then not make any money, but then the lessons that I've learned actually now helps me to make money in property. No one just gets handed. No one's just going to make you rich. So you want to address the mindset first, which is really, really important. So if I want to learn something new, the last thing on my mind, am I sitting there and thinking, right, how can I learn that for 3? I'm thinking about, I want to find the best of the best. How are they going to help me get to where that is? So if it's a new skill that I want to learn, I want to then find out how are they going to teach me? Because I don't know everything, right? So if I want to acquire a skill, I'm going to go invest my time, money, and energy into that. So guys, I really, really appreciate all the support, and I'm glad that you're enjoying all of these things. What else do we have, guys? How do you become or manage or become a pro at mastering your emotions when trading? Since this is a critical process, that's such a deep topic, right? Because this is very bespoke to every single person. But a good place to start is start to learn how to be aware of your emotions, right? You can't manage what you don't know is there. And this leads me to a tip, right? So definitely go and write this down. Like, you'll love this. So essentially, what I want you to do for the next 7 days, real simple, so easy to do and so easy not to do. So some of you would just look at it and go, I'm not too sure. Some of you will do it and get the benefit from it. So you want to keep just a simple journal and start to document and write down how you feel throughout the week when you're trading. So let's say, for example, you jump onto the charts on a Monday morning, you look at pound dollar, and you're just looking at the charts, and let's say price is, there's just a move up like this, and then you're sitting there scratching your head thinking, oh, what's happened with that? What's happening with pound? What's happening with the pound pairs? And then your mind, your chatter starts to just go constantly on and on and on. Write that down and document that. Then you start to have FOMO. Oh, maybe I should get in now. All these thoughts that you have. I want you to document as much as you can remember. If it's on the spot and you can catch yourself, the better. Document as much as possible. You will be shocked at the end of the week. Every person that's done this has always said the same thing. You'll be shocked at the end of the week that 80% of the time you're negative, right? And you have a negative connotation towards the market. You want the market to do something all the time for you, and you're not detached enough, and you're not stepping back. So if the goal is you want to learn how to manage or master your emotions, you have to first be aware of the emotions that you have in the first place. Most people are not aware of how negative they are. And it's important for you to do these things so you can document and track and see, right, okay, so I was negative 70% of the time. What business does that have serving me to be a successful trader? Right? What successful trader do you know that's just negative 70% of the time? Probably zero, right? So you can highlight these things and you can work on them. So don't try and find a quick fix. It doesn't exist. The holy grail isn't there. And just take your time with it. There's no need to rush. Such a beautiful opportunity that we have in front of us. So stay in your own lane, focus on yourself, don't get into any silly competition with anybody else, or start doubting the way that you trade just because you see for 1 week a different strategy profited and yours didn't. It's just a short-term mindset that is going to keep you jumping from system to system. So just focus on one thing and do it well. Those are the ones that win in this game for the long run. So guys, I think that is a wrap for the live. This was going to be about a 30-minute live, but I wanted to go for a little bit longer and answer those questions, guys. And I appreciate you all jumping on. I do think that February is shaping up for a very, very nice month indeed. Whenever you find that the market is, let's say, corrective, or it's not shifting, it's not moving, it's not committing, when you see these moves where they push and then they move back, they push and then they don't really commit, right? They push, they don't commit. You'll often find that when that happens, whether that be a month, whether that be sometimes 2-3 weeks, that suppressed volatility then pushes on. The market's not thinking about, week by week or month by month. It's not thinking about that at all. So the market just does what it does, and then you have to show up every single time the same way. And the tip that I really want to leave you with and give you with, guys, is going back to the basics. Far too many of us are going so advanced. Have you ever found when you're learning something and then you learn something a little bit new, you get excited, you learn something a little bit new, you get even more excited, and then before you know it, you're so far down the rabbit hole that you forgot about the basic principles of what you knew in the first place, and then you're wondering how comes this isn't working? But you're not doing the basic things right. So the biggest mindset tip that I want you to apply, not just to your trading, but your life in general, is that how well do you know the basics? And be honest with yourself. How well do you really know the basics? So what I'm doing, and I'm challenging myself for February, is going back to the basics in all areas of life and figuring out how am I going to test that, measure that, and see how well do I know the basics. Because when you get into that mind frame and that mindset and you remain teachable, great things start to happen. I'll be really curious in the next show to see how you get on with that. But crack on with that. Get the language journal down. You'll thank me later. I can promise you that. And I'm really excited for February. For Falcon, guys, of course, I'll see you in the live webinar on Monday night, and we'll be going all to the funding details, all of that kind of good stuff. But I really, really sincerely hope that you're all taking a lot of value from the channel. Jumping into the lives, it does mean a lot. So do us a big favor. Make sure that you are subscribed to the channel, that you do like, you comment, and let us know in the comments. Let us know with detail what value you're taking from it, because the more and more we can see that, the more we can actually tailor content around what you need, what's going to help you. So we really do appreciate it. But guys, enjoy your weekend. Thank you for tuning in wherever you are in the world. It really does mean a lot, and I'm looking forward to catching up with you guys really, really soon. and I'll see you in the next show. I can't believe it's episode 7 of the Falcon FX show. We're going to be evolving this even more and more, especially as we bring students on. I hope you enjoyed the interview last time of Danielle. Danielle was absolutely smashing it. So if you haven't checked out that episode of the Falcon FX show, go and give it a watch. You'll absolutely love it. You're welcome, everyone. I'll catch you in the next one. Have an incredible weekend wherever you are in the world. See you guys. Take care, everyone. Hope you took some valuable notes in this live. Awesome. Enjoy your weekend, everyone. See you in the next one.